Welcome, ladies. I am so excited for tonight's guest. This is Barbara Hoard. And ladies, when I tell you, coming into your purpose and coming into your calling, sometimes it's hard for us to figure out what that is. And then as women, when God brings your tribe into your life, sometimes you don't know where they come from. It's like just out of the blue. Well, I found Barbara like last week online, and honestly, it was at one of those points where God was calling, like, reach out to her. And Barbara, like when I looked at you and looked at what you were doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, she'll never have time for me. And when you said yes, I was like, thank you, God, because I know that she is supposed to be here at this time. So I would love for you just to introduce yourself to these ladies, tell them who you are and what you do, because you touched me.
Yeah. Hi, ladies. I'm super excited to be here. Like she said, my name is Barbara Hoard. And first of all, Alice, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this and to speak with you. And, you never know when God has like a place for you to say, no, this is the time to speak. But where I think you might have seen me is because I have a show called I Am This Woman. And what this is about is I always believe in that we support each other as women. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is I decided, someone told me one time, I was interviewing them for something, and they're like, oh, it's like talking to Oprah. And I said, you might never talk to Oprah. I said, but you know what? I want to create a space where women can share who they are. So I started it back in January. I do different interviews. I've had, we're going on almost 50 of them so far. And what it is I've been called to empower women. I've been called to create a space for women to just see their worth and their value. And I trust in that. I trust in the belief that what has been placed within me is something that I am meant to do. So I'm super excited for everything that I get to do in life.
I just love that so much. So what we normally feel in this group is that we don't really know what our purpose is in this season, as we felt like our purpose was to, some of us, to have a family. Some of us have gone through a divorce as well. So we have dealt with either failed marriages but then Barbara, when we head into this season that we're in now, and it's fulfilled after 50, is that what is God calling on our life, and how are we really to dig in on what he has called us to do? Because I do believe, biblically, that it is already in us, and he has placed those unique gifts and talents into each one of us. And neither one of us, I think, as women, sometimes we compare to each other. And that is a big fault. And I am guilty of that too. Sometimes if I get in that social media rabbit hole, it is so easy for us to compare what somebody else is doing, but that's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you tell somebody, Barbara, because you were such a godly woman too, how are they supposed to get to that point?
I think first of all, it's also trusting, right? One of the things that if we remember this, like God, like he took the time, and I think each of us are so unique in our own way. He took the time to make us. He took the time to put within us whatever the gifts are. Like for me, I know I could speak in front of 2 people or 2,000 people. It naturally flows, but within each of us is a gift. What happens is we have doubts, and then what we do is we listen to what others are saying, or like you said, we see what others are doing. So it's this way. What is it that just makes you smile? You'll do it. If you have no time and no money, you would still do it. If it's something that someone says, oh, you know what, you're fabulous at that, that's the gift. And what happens is we're always waiting because we think it should be bigger or better, or it's not that. This is where your faith and your trust comes into place. And if you have faith to believe, this is how I look at it. Faith of a mustard seed.
Right.
You're talking about the tiniest little thing. So if you have that faith, then when you know you're doing something, this is not, you know what, you can humbly come before God and say, you've given me this gift. Now let me share it, right? Because that's something he's placed within you. So what happens is that ask yourself those questions. Get a piece of paper, write down the things that you love to do, right? And then ask yourself, if you keep on seeing that over and over, that's not a mistake. It's like, sometimes your calling is screaming at you, and sometimes you got earplugs in. Take out the earplugs, trust in what's there within you, and give it a try. If you fail, I promise you, try again. If you fail, try again. If you fail, try again, right?
Right.
That's how you have to keep on doing it. But it's within you. Like I said, just ask 3 people who know you well and say, what do you see my gifts are? And listen to what they say. And then please don't doubt them when they say it. Okay? Do that.
Yes, I love that. So this morning we had a Bible study, and it was about Eat, Pray, Hustle. And it's based on Havilah Cunningham's book, and it's based on the story of Abraham. Mm-hmm. And for 100 years, he was trusting God to give them a baby, right? And I mean, what better testament of that is the trust in the faith? Right. So, then at the end of this month, also, Barbara, I'm doing a virtual workshop about just having a vision board. And, a vision board, I always stress it's not about something magical that happens from that. But we have to have a goal to shoot towards, right? And once you find out what that calling is, does it magically happen? I don't believe so.
It's called work.
Right.
Let me help you out. You have faith, and then you have work. Because what do they say faith is? Without work, it's like dead. You can't go, oh, I magically want to do this, and I have to think that it's going to happen. And then you sit there and twiddle your thumbs, because all you're going to be doing is twiddling your thumbs. So it's work. Anything that we do is work. Anything that God has done, like even God, like he took the time to build. He didn't just go, and there comes the earth. He took the time each day and he built something. He worked. So what it is this. It's like, what are you doing? What is the work that you're creating to say, this, I know what I'm doing. Then from there, I have a board, and if I show it to you, it's colors, and it's like, do this, do this, do this, do that, because that's the work part. Yes, have the faith, right? The faith is your foundation. The work is the house, build on it.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit about your story, Barbara, and how did you get to where you are to what you're doing now?
Yeah. So my story has always been, I love talking, but I love helping people, right? And I love helping women and teen girls. It's something, and even when I tried to go down different roads or try to do different things, I always say God, I think God and I have a really great relationship. So I'll try to go this way, and he's like, oh, that's cute. And he pushes me back that way. So he kept on, I kept on trying to go another way, trying to do other things. And then finally, at the end of last year, something just spoke to me. And it's like, you have this space to help other women. And it is, when I did this show on Facebook Live, I do it every Friday, right at 12 o'clock. And I've interviewed so many different women because I want to create a space for them to tell their stories. Maybe someone's watching and say, that's what I'm looking to do. So I think after such a long time, and I just turned 53 in July, I just stopped doubting myself. And I also stopped here's the thing, doubting me is one thing, but doubting God?
Right.
So that's it. So it's not that I stopped doubting me. I just stopped doubting him.
Yeah.
And then I just went, you know what, God, there it is. And let me tell you how good it is when you really stop doubting God. When I said, I'm going to do this. And a coach of mine at the time said, why don't you, instead of doing a podcast, why don't you try it on Facebook and see if you like it? So I started. And then one after another, after another, after another. But then where the money came from to do a lot of things, a job that I had been waiting for over a year, came up in February. So 3 weeks after I decided to say yes, here it comes. So when you put that faith out there, so what I did is I said, I'm not doubting. The reason why I don't doubt me is because I don't doubt him,
I
and
love.
he's within me. And then he was like, "Oh, you want to do this? Here, let me go ahead and give you what I've had waiting for you all along. It just was waiting for you to say, yes, God, I'm ready." And once I did that, I started. I have a private Facebook group that we've created. I'm working on working like a workshop called Honoring Your Truth, which is honoring who you are and what the talents you have within you. And so it doesn't mean that it happens overnight.
Yeah.
I thought it was one way and it changed to be another way. I thought it was this way and it changed to be that. So, but what the one thing is that I believe in what God has placed in me. I have the faith to know that I can move forward with this, and I don't give up.
Yes. Yeah. There's only one way you can fail is to quit on yourself, right?
100%. If you stop, you're right. That way you didn't do it. But I'm just like, okay. And here's the other thing. If you need to slow down, take a rest.
Yes.
Again, even on the seventh day, what do? We rest.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's why I love the Bible. The Bible is your instruction guide. It's like, oh, you want to know faith? Here, let's do here. Okay. If you want to know how to get through things, why don't we look at Job? Like, let's look at the people in the Bible who
Right.
God is saying, here are your examples right here. And so I think that's what it is that, I trust in him. It took me a long time because 53 years. But now watch out. I'm ready.
I love that. Sometimes I feel that it's hard for some of us to get to a place. And when I say some of us, like talking for a friend,
Yeah.
is, to hear that discernment, Barbara. And, we've had this group for a long time. Ladies, some of you guys have been with me since the very beginning. If you are listening on the podcast, you've been listening for a year as well. And entrepreneurship is hard.
Hardest thing ever.
It is so hard. And some days that I have to get up myself and say, God, is this truly what you would have me to do?
And then you get a message.
Yeah. Well, yes, you get a message. And I got a message today just from one of the ladies that I just needed to hear, you do more for us than you know. But sometimes we need to hear that, right?
Correct.
But,
always.
In today's chaos, it's like the busyness and the noise just comes right here.
Yeah.
What is in your routine, Barbara, that you can tell some of our listeners? What is it that you do that you're able to be still and listen?
Yeah, I think what sometimes what I've learned to do, especially because I've been going so fast, is that like when I'm driving, it's the music that I listen to, or it's the book that I'm listening to. It's what I surround myself with. It's getting up in the morning and saying thank you. It's the little things. It's the am I doing something, and then am I doing it the right way, and then I listen to what God has to say because He has. It's like this. You buy I just bought a new white HRV Honda. Never seen them in my life. Now I see them all over the place. Because when you open yourself up to see, I promise you, the messages, take a look when you're driving home. Take a look when you're at home. You'll start to notice something that you haven't noticed before, but it's always been there. So what I really do is I truly trust in him. I also have a Tuesday night Bible study group. I work with teens at my church. So there's things that I do also to what's in my life that God is saying, here you go, And so those are the things, the ways that I really just come back. And also the biggest thing is when I say my faith is strong.
Yeah.
Like my sister right now is in the hospital with COVID and she's been there 4 weeks. It's not looking very good. And I still have the faith of a mustard seed. I still have the faith that whichever way God plans it, it's okay. And I have people call me going, how are you doing? And I'm like, there are days where I'm kind of like, oh, but for the most part, I trust in him.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be a lot of things. It's my faith.
Mhm.
And my faith means on the highs, the lows, and the in-betweens, I will always let him guide me.
Yes. Oh my goodness. What is her name, Barbara? Because we have amazing prayer warriors in here as
Yeah. Her name is Margaret,
well.
and she's in Dallas right now. And she's been in the yes, faith of a mustard seed again today. That's what I see your user saying that because that's what it is. It's that faith. And Margaret, she's been in a hospital now 4 weeks, and she's on the ventilator. And she has a great doctor who's like, I'm going to keep on. I'm going to do everything. And I'm flying out there this weekend just to be with my niece also. So just prayers for me to be on a plane. And I'm just trusting however it's supposed to be, so.
Yes. So where are you flying from? Where are you?
I'm in, you'll love this. So I am in South Florida, which is, I'm going from one hotspot to another hotspot. So I'm in South Florida and I'm flying out of Fort Lauderdale, flying to Dallas. And yeah, so I've got, I'm prepared and everything. And this is where honestly, 100% where my faith, because for my niece and for my great nephews, it's for them to be able to at least even to be in that space. I feel like I didn't go last week and I was supposed to go, and I'm going this weekend, and I trust that this is the way it is. So.
Well, we were definitely have you in your prayers. And I feel like every circumstance that and every struggle and every trials, there's a purpose for this, right?
Yes.
And we never know what that purpose is. And so, my sister-in-law 2 years ago died from breast cancer, and she was 54 years old. So she had 600 in that standing room only service, Barbara. And what every person said in that room was when they spoke with her, she made them feel like they were the only person in the room.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
What does Maya Angelou always say? People will forget what you did, people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
That's it. That's it. It's the moments. I always say we look at all these big things, but it's the little moments. And in those moments are memories. That's the thing. If we really believe in that and we see it. So the one thing about it is that I don't say I have faith when everything is good. I have faith when I lost my job. I have faith when with COVID going on. I have faith in what I'm up to and what I'm doing. I have faith for her. I have faith. That's the thing. My faith is steadfast. Like it's that immovable object that's like when I walk, like no matter what, like it's there within me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like I tell my kids, if God gave you everything that you have asked for and you didn't have to have the faith or the trust in me, well, where would that growth happen? Where would growth and faith in God happen?
It is. It's climbing a mountain. It's the things that we end up doing. It's the things that we end up doing. Those things that when we fall, because sometimes we're here, so this is all we see. But when we fall, all of a sudden we're down and we see something and we're like, I never saw that in the first place. So the thing about it is, if you don't know what you're up to, you don't know what you're doing. Yes, this is such a great place to be in because this is your opportunity right now to have faith in what God has said is there. Just listen.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes. And I love what you said earlier too, Barbara, is that, my morning routine is always just going straight into prayer and being quiet. That's my quiet moments. But that doesn't mean that that's where God will speak to you in that. Like what you said, like hearing that music in the car or walking down the street and you pass something. But it's like when I feel like I am in a funk, I just put on praise music, right?
Yes. And I'm sorry, I'm walking because someone's about to come in and I know they're going to interrupt. But see how it is right now? Like I thought everything is good. Everything is perfect. It's going to come out fine. And then all of a sudden something changed. So what did I have to do? I had to get up and I had to move. And now look right here behind me, all of a sudden here, This is free, right? So you never know. But if I didn't come in here, you wouldn't have seen that. If you didn't see that, you might not have got the message. Because if you think the only way you talk to God is on your knees in your room and for those from 5:30 to 5:45, baby, like get up. Get in your car and drive. There's a sign there's there for you. There's that stop where that person next to the car who might be crying that you need to say, God, whatever's going on, please touch them. It might be someone in the grocery store. So sometimes the message is not for you, but the message is for you to give it to someone else.
I love that. That just gave me chills, Barbara. Like that was so powerful right there. Yes, the message can be all around you. And if you are not just in complete discernment, you'll miss it.
Right. Because we're so busy. We're so busy in the things of right now. Oh, this is what's happening. This is what happened. It's sometimes you have to move.
Yeah.
And if you notice what Jesus did, Jesus didn't stay in one place and said, come to me.
Right.
No, Jesus walked, he moved. He's like, you know what? I went to this place and then I met this person. And why? Because that woman who reached out and touched the end of my rope, like she needed to do that.
Yeah.
It's because someone, the ones when we lowered that man into the room where he was praying, because so if he was never there, it wouldn't have never happened.
Yes.
You know, it's those kind of things. So sometimes know that the prayer that you receive and the grace that you receive and the things that you receive is because of what you've given to someone else. You give it to them and it comes back to you.
Yes, I love that so much. Just the statement from Lisa Bevere. She was on Bob Goff's podcast called Dream Big. And Lisa Bevere, she said, you know how, some people say, God, just use me. She's like, do you want to be used? Like, do you remember being used by a boyfriend? Do you remember being used by a girlfriend?
Right.
No. God does not use you.
Right.
He's working with you to encourage and to work through you. But he's not using you. He is working with you.
Yeah. And he does. And so he already knows. This is what I love about it. He knew that when they opened up that door, I was going to be sitting at that table and I was going to have to move and I was going to have to stand in front of that bird for you guys to see it, for someone who might be listening to go and say, oh, that's something that inspires me. It's the colors. I love to paint. I love to do that. So the thing about it is God's already knowing the moves that you're going to make. What you have to do is this. You're holding on like this and you're like, no, God, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. God's saying, release and let go and let me guide you. So when you do that, then all of a sudden it flows. And then you're wondering, why is everything flowing? It's because all of a sudden you're putting your faith in him. And when you do that, I promise you, all the things will open up. But it's when we let go and we start to have that faith and trust in him.
Yes, I love that so much, especially as women. We try to just maintain that control and just like we want to grab on as hard as we can. It's so hard for us to release that as wives and moms and givers, right? I don't know, Barbara. That is like the hardest thing for women is like release it.
Yes. I got to be in control. I've got to handle this. I got to do it. I want to make sure my kids don't fall and do what I did. Let your children fall. I promise you they won't break. And if they will, guess what? God's there to get them. But you got to let them be there for them. That's why God created mothers. You're there, right? But you got to remember something. God provided you that child, right? And so then what you need to do is, and how much are you holding on to them that you're not stepping into what you are supposed to be doing?
Amen.
Yeah, let go of them and then see what happens in your life. And then see how the water just starts to flow. And you're also teaching your children to have that independence and have that faith to do that. You know, that's what it is. He didn't say the road was going to be easy. Please look at really, we're so much easier now. He didn't say it was going to be easier, right? But he said he's going to be there.
Yes, right.
You know?
Yeah, I think as moms, sometimes we feel like our hardest part is done when they are grown and gone. But actually, that's where it begins. We just moving into a different role with that, right?
My son is turning 24 on Sunday, and I still, if he calls or texts, because he hardly does that, I'm always thinking, what's wrong? What's going on? And I'm like, relax. This boy he's got it together. But if not, then I'm there. Okay. But how can they ever learn? How can any of us? And what a great opportunity for you then to go ahead and to step into what you're supposed to be doing in life.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know?
I love it so much. Yes. I have a 25-year-old and 27-year-old, but the 25-year-old, sometimes as they get grown and they go into relationship, just
Right.
something of disheartening, it is through us as their parents that how we have grown, it encourages them to grow in the same way and to
Oh,
work through those emotions instead of being reactive. You do have control of your emotions. Now,
yeah.
how are you going to
Yeah.
take control?
True. And then look at this way. It also let your children see you fall. Let your children see you fail. Please don't put yourself up on a pedestal because then when you do fall, they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I've apologized to my son. Look, I did the best that I could, what I had, right? And he said, thank you, mom, because at least he knows we're not perfect. We're
Right.
all humans, So let them, it's okay. It's okay. This is how they're going to grow.
Yes, exactly. So, like, I honestly, Barbara, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago because I've
Right.
learned how to grow myself, to go in myself, to make myself happier instead of relying on somebody else for my
Right.
happiness. I had to learn that was already in me instead of looking externally for that. And,
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, both my son and daughter's like, Mom, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. I'm like, exactly. And thank God.
Yes.
But I wish I was this person when I was raising you.
You do, and you do. You want to be so like you want to be that great mom. And I sometimes look back and I'm like, how did I manage to raise this child? Because I was trying to raise me, you
Yeah.
know. And so now I'm in this space and I've set my boundaries and I'm so clear as of the woman that I am. And you know what the thing about it is? I'm so clear of the woman that God has made me. I think that's the difference. Is that I am so humbled and honored with that.
Yes. Gosh. Well, I
Yeah.
just love you so much, Barbara, and just thank you so much for coming on. You are such an inspiration.
Thank
When
you.
I just felt led to you, I knew that you were going to give my ladies something that they need to hear. And like what you just said, somebody maybe just needed to see that bird on your wall and
Yeah.
to release whatever they are holding on to, because when we hold on to some unforgiveness, some hurt, some things that we just can't release, it
Right.
destroys us.
It will completely and you're trying to hold on to something that you can't change. I just finished reading a book and the book was it's Edith Egar and she was in Germany and she was in the Holocaust. And so she was in Auschwitz and she said she had to release that because she couldn't go back there and change. When she forgave Adolf Hitler, like she says, I stood in front of his house that was burned down and I forgave him. She
Wow.
didn't forgive him to make it so he's okay. She forgave him to make sure that she's okay. And
Uh,
that's what the forgiveness is about. So, trust in the believing that the things that have happened is a lesson. And then the forgiveness is also a lesson because that forgiveness is the freedom that allows you to step into what you're supposed to be up to and what you're creating.
yes. Oh, I love that. Can you tell them where they can find you, Barbara? Or
Yes, yeah, for sure. So I am on social media right now. Barbara Hoard is the name. So on Facebook, I do have a Facebook private group, which is I Am This Woman. And in the next month, we'll have our website that's going to be up as well. And then if you friend me on Barbara Hoard, plus my public, it's public. So every Friday I have a show. And if you just friend me or look on there, you'll see all the past shows. And there's a lot of great, really fantastic shows that you can take a look at and see.
awesome. Thank you so much. And every lady and listener that is listening today or on the replay, let's all just lift Margaret, Barbara's sister, in prayer as she is fighting that COVID battle. So we are joining you when two or more are gathered together. He is in your presence, right?
That's it. I'm telling you. And that's the thing. And just thank you, Alice. Thank you for allowing me to come on here. And thank you for being led to say there's something that you have to say because you didn't know what I was going to say. And so thank you for just creating the space to do this. And ladies, thank you so much for all the prayers. And just know, I always say this to my ladies, just be kind to one another and really take the time. We're right now in such a battle of wanting to be right about everything. And I think sometimes if we stop and then we just are kind to each other, it can make a world of difference.
Amen. Yes. Thank you so much. You're like
You're
a
so welcome.
Christ already. We love you. And thank you for joining on. Thank you for all you listeners. This will be going out on our podcast next week. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. And Barbara, love you. God bless you.
Thank you so much.